Neverwinter Nights Kingmaker is an expansion pack released for BioWare's Neverwinter Nights that includes 3 premium modules: Kingmaker, Shadowguard, and Witch's Wake. In this review, we are going to solely focus on Kingmaker, as I've already made separate videos covering the latter two. The module is set in a universe that incorporates aspects from Forgotten Realms and other Dungeons & Dragons settings. The story takes place near Cyan's Keep in the north. The player aims to win an election and become Lord of the Keep. To do so, the player character must convince at least 4 of the 9 guilds to support him. Only then will the protagonist be able to confront his opponent, the Masked Man, a mystery mage who utilizes a small army of creatures to attempt to subjugate the keep. Throughout his excursions, the player character must also unravel the mysteries of his own origins and past. An unknown ally of immense strength also assists the character by bestowing a sentient magical weapon with a friendly disposition. The player can seek assistance from 2 of the 4 NPCs that accompanied him before the start of the game. The official BioWare page described the module as follows: in a party with a cowardly were-rat, a scarred nymph, an exiled Rakshasa, and a quick-tempered Azer, you seem to be the only normal one. But are you? Embark on a journey to face your nemesis outside the embattled ramparts of the Keep of Cyan. It is a journey that will test your loyalties and cause you to question the very bounds of life and death. Evil lurks in the war-torn keep, and it's up to you to unearth it. To learn the truth, you must win the throne. Later on, it is revealed that the Masked Man is an Illithid, and the mysterious ally is the main character's grandmother, a powerful demoness who once fell in love with a man, resulting in the player's character's tiefling heritage. The Masked Man is also identified as the hero's brother. The game culminates in the player slaying the Masked Man and discovering the truth about himself. After that, he becomes Cyan's legitimate ruler. When the module begins, we find ourselves discussing with our 4 companions whether or not to pursue the Masked Man. It doesn't matter what we really say here, as the party will always arrive to the conclusion that we should chase down whoever this Masked Man is.
The enemy lies just ahead. We have to intervene before they seize the keep.
No! No! We flee! Let them have the keep! We're too late!
You've led us this far, Trip, only to turn tail on us now?
It's the woods! They twist and turn, Jaboli! Trip hoped we'd get through in time, but it's too late! Come, Trip will lead us back to safety.
No one's going back, Trip, especially not you. We're late, but we're not too late. Now, did anyone spy a glimpse of their leader?
No. They've led us on a merry chase north, but always stayed a step ahead.
Trips gained us some time through the woods, but not enough. They'll set fire to the keep.
Stupid! Trip said we could not fight the big Masked Man. Not strong enough are we, so now we shall die. We run, we hide, and maybe we live.
I'll not flee from this or any other foe. We are not cowards. We march for the keep's gates, and we make our stand against them there. What do you say?
I too will face our foes. Perhaps today we will finally rest.
When we meet the Masked Man, a wizard from the keep will cast a spell that eliminates everyone on the battlefield.
Stand back. I'll shield who I can.
Now, Yenna, now! Wake up! Don't be such a nuisance. It's time you wake up!
But we mustn't worry. We are soon revived by a ray of light. However, the resurrection procedure has depleted our energy, and we are but a measly level 1 character. The shaft of light will then transform into a weapon for us, and it informs us that we can resurrect 2 of our companions to serve as our henchmen in the module, while killing the other 2. This is one of many ways that the module allows for a certain amount of replayability, as it gives us options for 3-party build combinations. Although I found Trip to be an annoying character, having played all the previous core campaigns, I knew that having a rogue in the party was probably a good idea, and with him being a were-rat, we didn't need to worry about supplying him with any weapons. Lastly, I chose Kaidala, a druid nymph, who could provide me with some buffing and healing if necessary. Since I decided to play as a classic warrior through this playthrough, it made sense to have a healer in the party, since I knew I could be taking a lot of upfront damage. Before heading to the keep, we make sure to loot all the dead orcs on the battlefield. We locate some basic weapons and armor. When we initially enter the keep, we are given a description of what we'll be doing for the duration of the module. That is, we discover that the Lord of the Keep vanished some time ago, and that the inhabitants of the keep are now ready to elect a new one. Prior to our arrival, there were 2 candidates for Lord or Lady of the keep: the malevolent and deceitful Sir Beckett, and the pure but unbending Enivid Divine. Because we are a clear hero, we are swiftly nominated as a 3rd option. But we will need to spend our energy convincing the Keep's 9 guild masters to vote for us in the election. In order to secure a majority of the vote, we will need at least 4 of the guild masters to side with us in order for us to win the election. This is where the second aspect of replayability comes into the picture. Not only are we given options concerning our party build, but we are put into a fake time-gated situation where we will never really be able to secure all votes for the election, and so we must choose what specific guilds to complete quests for, and what quests to leave for a different playthrough. Now you may be asking, how is it a fake time gate? Well, apparently, the election is triggered based on a certain amount of quests that you complete, and not actually based on a time limit. We come in contact with a scout known as Elias. Elias will recommend that we go on a quest for her, Aunt Sarah, who is the landowner guildmaster. To obtain Sarah's vote, we must first defeat the goblins in the goblin caves in the Emerald Hills, and then bring the head of the chief to her. After we are rewarded, Sarah offers to sell us with a haunted mansion in northern Cyan. Completing Sarah's quest will also allow us to postpone the election 3 times, giving us more time to accomplish other objectives and strengthen our character before the final vote ensues. We decide to accept the offer from Sarah Blackhand and buy the haunted mansion for 2,000 gold, which we have succeeded in earning through the selling of loot, which is plentiful in this campaign. While examining the estate, we discover, through eavesdropping next door, that Sir Beckett is having an affair with Alicia's maid.
That was satisfactory. Meet me again tonight after I am finished with Alicia.
I think my mistress would be most displeased if she discovered our relationship.
I do not pay you to think. And if you ever say a word to Alicia, I will have you killed. No one will care about the death of a lady's maid. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Tonight. And bring a friend. No, where's my ring? Well, I'll find it later. I need to find out what this new contender of mine is doing. When it comes to politics, never trust the enemy, they say. I might have to take steps.
And through a successful dexterity check, we are able to obtain Beckett's ring as evidence through a narrow grate. When we present this information to Alicia, the leader of the Noble Guild, she shifts her vote in our favor, and we are rewarded with a +1 ring of protection. Next, we cross paths with a trade guild master, the Stand. The Stand will give us 3 tasks. We can complete all the activities, but just accomplishing one of them will earn a Trade Guild vote. We decide to take on his quest for the archaeologist. We are sent to a crypt to meet up with Ohio Smith, who greets us just outside of the entrance. When we talk with him, he informs us about the planar gate in the crypt and will start following us through the dungeon. In order to access the room with the planar gate, we must solve a puzzle by retrieving different colored pieces of glass throughout the area. This underground area contains 6 urns and a jewel box. When we interact with the box, a ghost emerges and gives us instructions on how to position pieces of the colored glass through a riddle. A mummified lord guards the body of the previous lord's advisor. When the mummy lord dies, it drops a psychic gem, which can be used to communicate briefly with the masked man, the villain who we encountered at the beginning of the module.
You again? I'm quickly growing tired of your interference. You and the meddling fools in the keep shall soon be dead.
On the advisor's body, we find a journal with more information about the crypt and the planar gate. We discover that the orb that permitted entrance through the gate has been cracked, rendering the gate inoperable. However, bringing Ohio Smith to the gate will earn us some experience, and we are able to complete our quest. By doing so, the Stand decides to change his vote in support of us, and we decide to take a trip to the Temple of the 9 Gods for one more additional vote. Instead of having a single guild master, the Priest Guild has 3. Dinchal of Velsi, Lavos Gallion, and Raphael Leonoloman. To get the Priest Guild's vote, we must persuade 2 of the 3 guildmasters to endorse us. Dinchal will never agree at first, but Lavos will once we've spoken with her. When we speak with Raphael, we find that he is greedy, and we can simply purchase his vote for 2,000 gold. With the support of the other 2 priests, Dinchal can be convinced to support us if we answer his probing questions correctly. We have now secured enough votes to successfully win the election and become Lord of the Keep, but all is not finished. We must seek out vengeance and find where the masked man is and put an end to his threats to the kingdom. After the election, we earn the Lord's Helm, and any additional vote-related tasks will fail. That means we have little choice but to head straight for the masked man. There is an option to deploy soldiers in different ways when invading his lair, but I forgot to play around with it and simply headed straight into the bastion of the enemy. This dungeon contains 3 levels. The first level, we must face 5 different thralls: kobolds, durgar, drow, orcs, and goblins. For all thrall rooms, we uncover 5 different keys to help open a locked door, which will take us down to the 2nd level. Here we find the 2 buddies we did not choose to be henchmen with at the beginning of the game. They assault us, but after we have wounded one of them, they cease their violence. We decide to peacefully let them leave the dungeon. We proceed to the final level, where the masked man reveals himself to be an illithid. Given most of the combat was fairly easy up to this point, I found that I had not prepared well for the difficulty spike with this final boss battle. Fortunately, after several reloads, I got lucky and was able to defeat him with some high rolls. but the battle dragged on for longer than necessary. Overall, I enjoyed my time in this campaign, but it certainly has its pros and cons like anything else, so let's go over them. First, let's look at the pros. Overall, I can see the good replay value here. Although the campaign is relatively short, like the other two premium modules of Witch's Wake and Shadowguard, the gating to only being able to complete a limited selected amount of quests allows you to play the campaign differently for 3 to 4 playthroughs before seeing all the possible content that it has to offer. Unlike its other counterparts, the campaign completes without any cliffhangers, and so you are left feeling like you got a proper beginning to end with the story. I also liked that even though they contain an outdoor area connecting all the dungeons, you could easily move between the keep and dungeons by using Elias to fast travel you to, depending on what quests were unlocked. This allowed for no backtracking and also allowed for efficient quest completion. Now, let's look at the cons. The first major con for me was its story and characters. I never really felt drawn into the role-playing like I did when playing the Shadowguard DLC. I even felt the world building in Witch's Wake to be more interesting than what I observed here. I also found the characters in my party to be rather bland and uninteresting, similar to my experience with the original campaign. You are given some limited romance options with some of the characters, which is nice on paper, but I found reading through all of the character exposition to mostly be boring and lackluster. I think going into this campaign and knowing how short it was limited my patience with the exposition during dialogue. I just didn't care enough about the characters to want to fully explore their backstories, which had nothing to do with the main plot of the campaign. I didn't care that the villain of the campaign turned out to be my long-lost brother. I never had enough time to really fall in love with my own character development and the other NPC's development to care about anything that happened in the story. If it were a real tabletop campaign, the backstories might be more relatable because it's done in a social setting, but in a computer game setting, they just fell really flat. You do have a lot of options to roleplay, but the underdeveloped setting kills the immersion for me. Secondly, I found the quest to be overly simple and fairly limited in scope. With a priest guild, you can basically answer with the correct dialogue and get their support if you have enough money. The haunted house quest was also interesting on paper, but was implemented poorly. You basically just kill a few enemies and walk to the basement floor where the nobles guild dialogue is triggered. At least the archaeologist quest was a little bit more interesting with the puzzle mechanics. I like to have some good dungeon crawls in my campaigns, and the only one that really hit the spot for me was the final boss quest at the end. It would have been nice to get some forewarning, though, as there was a bit of a difficulty spike at the end that was not present in any of the other quests and encounters that I completed. Overall, would I recommend this campaign? Kind of. It's okay. Its saving grace is that it's short. It provides some mild amusement and doesn't take up a lot of time to complete. It took me about 4 hours to complete one run of the campaign. And maybe there are some better quests out there depending on the choices you make when completing the different guild quests. Thanks for watching, folks, and I'll see you in the next one. Like, comment, and subscribe.